Text Chapter 51 I Quit You, Hum. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ever since word spread among the employees of Tang Enterprises that the eldest lady of Tang Enterprises personally went to find a security guard, Li Tian's dormitory and the security room in the parking lot have become the center of attention. Everyone wanted to see what kind of awesome person he was who dared to provoke the eldest lady of Tang Corporation and even dared to quarrel with her. Now Li Tian had just put on a security uniform to go to work and stood guard when a group of white-collar workers from Tang Corporation were looking at him and talking about something. The girls in professional dresses are as beautiful as fairies. The tight-fitting suits, professional short skirts, black stockings, and high heels are not to mention more attractive. It's a pity that Li Tian really has no time to appreciate such beauties now, and he is still standing guard there as steady as a rock. Is that the security guard? Well, it seems like he was quarreling with the eldest lady. Is he pretty handsome? What's the point of being handsome? A man can't rely on his face to make a living, can he? Are you going to marry a security guard who doesn't know anything but has a pretty face? Another girl with a round face and a light dress said there. With another tall girl next to her frowned slightly. That's what you said. It's a pity that he's just a security guard. How could Miss Tang quarrel with a low-level security guard? The tall girl in front of her asked in confusion. The round-faced woman next to her shook her head. I don't know. Could it be that Miss Tang has something to do with this security guard? The tall girl said, blinking her bright eyes. Oh my God, how is it possible? He is just a security guard. No matter how hard Miss Tang goes, she can't find such a person, right? Besides, can our chairman agree that these people were all talking there, but Li Tian pretended not to see anything, and it didn't matter to him. Whether it was becoming the center of attention or being the source of laughter for others, it didn't matter. Li Tian, who was standing alone in the security room, stood guard like that. He turned a deaf ear to the comments made by employees of Tang Corporation. The employees of those companies could only come out to take a look during their lunch breaks. When it was time to go to work, they all ran into the office and continued working, and just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a red Lotus cars drove outside the square of Tang Enterprises. There is no doubt that the person driving this beautiful red Lotus cars is of course the eldest lady of Tang Corporation, Tang Feifei. Today, she changed into a simple outfit, a more casual red sepia sportswear, which gave people a fresh and natural feeling. After getting off the car, Tang Feifei walked towards the security room. Li Tian, who was standing in the parking lot, turned around and saw Tang Feifei. I suddenly felt depressed, wondering why this girl is here again. Li Tian, who was feeling depressed, heard Tang Feifei's voice coming over. Hey, Mr. Li, come out here. As Feifei's voice came, Li Tian really slowly walked out of the security room, wearing a rustic security uniform. After walking out, he looked at Tang Feifei. What do you want to do again? Li Tian said coldly to Feifei. What do I want to do? You still come to ask me. You have wronged me. Feifei said angrily. Li Tian didn't want to quarrel with her and said, whether I have wronged you or done anything to you, miss, I beg you, don't bother me. Who are you? Miss Daughter, what about me? That's it. A pauper, a rustic security guard, how can you be as knowledgeable as a person like me? Li Tiandao said. You. Feifei was stunned. Miss, please leave quickly, I have to go to work. As he said this, Li Tianguo walked towards the security room as if he was on guard duty. Stop, Feifei yelled. Li Tian took a step, stopped, shook his head helplessly, then turned around and looked at Feifei. What do you want? Tang Feifei's angry eyes were slightly red, and she glared at Li Tian. I thought I was playing tricks on you, right? Isn't it? Li Tian turned around and sneered. You are just a pig, please listen to my explanation. Feifei said, who knew that Li Tian waved his hand. Okay, you'd better not explain it. I'm working time now. Unlike you rich people, you can have enough food and clothing without working. I'm sorry, young lady, I should go to work. After finishing speaking, Li Tian immediately turned his head and got into the security room. This made Feifei very angry. Fei Fei stamped her feet on the ground twice, wishing she could grab Li Tian and bite him twice. I'll let you go to work. I'll see how you go to work. Tang Fei Fei muttered to herself while walking towards the gate of Tang Enterprises. What does she want to do? Li Tian glanced at the eldest lady and didn't look at her. He thought to himself, what else could a girl do in a movie? When he was not paying attention, Tang Fei Fei had already walked out with an awkward-looking man behind him. The man was in his 40s, wearing glasses and a dark blue suit. He followed Tang Fei Fei. He trotted over like a follower. Li Tian took a glance and was stunned for a moment. Isn't that man the chief of the security department of Tang Enterprises, who is responsible for the security of them? Why was Tang Fei Fei called out now? While Li Tian was wondering, Tang Fei Fei had already put on a little evil smile, pointed at Li Tian in the security room in front of her and said to the chief of the security department behind her, that's him. From today on, I don't want him to go to work. Tang Fei Fei said with a naughty smile. After Tang Fei Fei said this all at once, the security section chief suddenly looked a little embarrassed, but he still nodded helplessly. Who told her to be the daughter of the boss of Tang's enterprise? No, the chief of the security department waved to Li Tian, who was standing in the security room, and motioned for Li Tian to come out. Li Tian slowly walked out from inside. Section chief, what's wrong? Li Tian asked, although the chief of the security department knew that Li Tian had not been working as a security guard for a long time and was diligent and did not make any big mistakes, because of the eldest lady, he could not say, Li Tian, you don't have to stand guard now. Today the madman rewarded a landlord. Hua Hua fulfilled his promise and added an update. There are 7 updates so far. Is there any update for Hua Hua? Then collect it. The local landlord, or a member of the public, hee. Text chapter 52 Damn Stinky Girl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Li Tian suddenly heard his direct boss say this, he couldn't help but froze. Why? Are you letting me rest today? Li Tian asked puzzledly. The head of the security department showed an apologetic smile. You don't have to go to work anymore. When I heard it, I was stunned. What's the meaning? Am I fired? Li Tian looked at the security section chief in front of him depressedly. The section chief nodded helplessly. Li Tian was stunned for a moment, blinked at the section chief, and then turned to look at Tang Fei Fei. Did you do it? Li Tian suddenly became angry and stared at Tang Fei Fei fiercely. Tang Fei Fei smiled evilly and said, Who told you not to listen to my explanation? Humph, you deserve it. You are cruel. Facing Tang Fei Fei, Li Tian was so angry that he was trembling all over. If it weren't for the fact that Fei Fei was a girl, he would have wanted to strangle this girl to death. He actually made himself unemployed. You hurry up and stay away from me now. I beg you, don't make me angry. Otherwise I will really crush you to death. Li Tian, who clenched his fists tightly, tried hard to hold back the pain from his chest. With rising anger, he said to Na Fei Fei, unexpectedly, he finally arrived in Kyoto City. After being tricked by this girl in advance, he was now unlucky enough to lose the job he had worked so hard to find. How could this not make him angry? Fei Fei, on the other hand, looked indifferent, raised her eyebrows, put her hands on her small waist and said to Li Tian like a very young lady, How are you? Are you angry? Li Tian gritted his teeth with hatred. You made me resign, how can I not be angry? Li Tian roared out in anger, but Fei Fei covered her mouth and laughed. Who told you to make me angry before? Fei Fei put away her smile and stood there and said. Li Tian felt that he had really met the most unreasonable woman in the world, and said depressedly, Why did I make you angry? Why did I provoke you? I said, Girl, you can't be reasonable. Are all women pig-headed? You are a pig-headed person. Fei Fei scolded Li Tian. Who first lied to me, who started playing tricks on me? In the end, you still feel wronged. Who the hell can I talk to about my grievances? Li Tian shouted there. Fei Fei blinked her eyes and said, Didn't I tell you everything? Who told you not to listen to my explanation? Explain, tell me, what can you explain? Li Tian said angrily. Fei Fei said, do you listen to me? I won't listen. Even if you talk nonsense now, my surname is Li won't listen anymore. Li Tian said stubbornly, now that he has resigned from his job with just such a sentence, how can he still be in the mood to listen to an explanation? Now he wants to slap Fei Fei twice. Fei Fei, who heard that Li Tian didn't listen to her explanation, stared at her almond-shaped eyes and said, you really don't listen to my explanation? I won't listen. Li Tian said without looking back. Then I will really resign you. Fei Fei threatened Li Tian. Li Tian slowly turned his head and glared at Fei Fei. Haven't you resigned from me now? Let me tell you again, it's your business if you have money and power. Although I, Li Tian, have no money, I have nothing, but at least I have some fucking dignity. After saying these words, Li Tian turned around and took off his security uniform, angrily preparing to go back to the dormitory, pack his luggage and leave. Just when he said those words, Fei Fei quickly said with a smile, okay, I won't make trouble with you. Really, you are still a big man, why don't you have any measure? The lady won't quit you, don't worry, I'm just teasing you. Li Tian, who was about to leave, was stunned when he heard this girl say this again. What did you say? Li Tian turned his head and looked at Fei Fei and said. I said, I was joking with you just now. Fei Fei said with a smile. It's your uncle. How dare you play tricks on me again? Li Tian couldn't wait to open his mouth and curse. But he held back, with a shocked expression on his face. But what about inside? But 10,000 people secretly cursed this girl, dead girl, stinky girl, how dare you play tricks on me? Are you telling the truth or lies? Li Tian asked. Li Tian Kai has been working for more than half a month now. If he really resigns, how much money will he earn? Li Tian, who didn't have much money in his hand, would be in trouble if he had to go out to rent a house and find a job, so Li Tian couldn't help but asked quickly. Tang. Fei Fei smiled and pointed at the Tang Enterprises building in front of her and said, this company belongs to my father. Is what I said still false? Hearing what this girl said, Li Tian suddenly realized that no wonder everyone called her the eldest lady. No wonder everyone respects her so much. It turns out that she is really a real eldest lady. You still have a little bit of conscience, if you don't resign, Li Tian complained. Tang. Fei Fei chuckled, handsome, don't be angry. I really didn't hide what happened last time from you on purpose. It's just that you are too funny and innocent. Listening to what Tang Fei Fei said, Li Tianjin felt that she was really stupid for not noticing it at the time. Fortunately, I actually pretended to be a hero to save others. It was really embarrassing. Li Tian, who looked a little embarrassed, said to Tang Fei Fei, okay, now I am not angry with you, and I also know your identity. From now on, we will not owe each other anything and go our separate ways. How about you continue to be your rich daughter and I continue to be my hard-working little security guard? To be honest, Li Tianjin really didn't want the girl in front of him to disrupt his peaceful life. What a beautiful idea. Tang Fei Fei put her hands on her waist and stared at her. Li Tian felt miserable all of a sudden. Miss, we don't live on the same level. Please let me go. I'm just a little security guard. Can you go and have fun with your rich friends? Not good. Fei Fei chuckled. I just want to play with people like you, how about it? Besides, Mr. Li, have you forgotten what you promised me? Fei Fei said immediately. When Fei Fei said this, Li Tian couldn't help but be slightly startled. When did I promise you something? You. How dare you forget? Fei Fei suddenly became angry. Li Tian thought for a long time before he remembered. You didn't mean to ask me to pretend to be your boyfriend, right? Li Tian looked at Tang Fei Fei with his grown-up eyes and said. Tang Fei Fei blinked her beautiful eyes like autumn water playfully, smiled and nodded. Just remember. Oh my God, please kill me. Li Tian yelled. Text chapter 53 Langshan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The reason why he agreed to this girl at that time was because Li Tian didn't know her identity, but what about now? She is the daughter of the CEO of Tang Corporation, the daughter of her direct boss, and yet she, a security guard at the bottom of the company, pretends to be his boyfriend? Isn't this a case of holding a knife to one's own neck and seeking death? What's wrong? What a fuss. Fei said unhappily. Li Tian looked embarrassed and said, Miss Tang, are you okay? You're the one who's sick. Fei rolled her eyes at Li Tian. Li Tian continued, if you are not sick, why do you have to ask me to be your fake boyfriend? To be honest, sometimes I really can't understand what you rich people are playing. Fei glared at Li Tian fiercely. How could she tell this guy everything about her own baby kiss? Stop talking nonsense, are you going to do it or not? Fei said. Li Tian frowned, no. Okay, if you don't do it, I will fire you now, and won't let you work here. Fei said angrily. Etc. Li Tian shouted. Fei turned her head and looked at Li Tian with a wicked smile. What's wrong? Are you regretting it? Do you agree? Li Tian felt like he was forcing a girl into prostitution, and nodded depressedly. Okay, I will obey you. Haha. Fei laughed all of a sudden, but a certain man cursed Fei 18,000 times in his heart. I want to ask you, why did you let me pretend to be your fake boyfriend? Is it because I am innocent? Or is it because I am handsome? Li Tian said to Na Fei with a smile. Fei giggled and said, because you are simple. Tsao. Li Tian cursed secretly. Get in the car. Na Fei said as she walked towards the bright red Lotus cars parked over there. Li Tian was stunned for a moment. He had seen such a beautiful sports car before. He looked at the sports car with red hair and said, let me get in. Sister, am I at work? Li Tiandao said. I approve you to have a rest today. Fei said with a smile. Then wages are not allowed to be deducted? Someone said. Fei was too lazy to talk to the poor guy and had already stepped over. Li Tian was very bored standing guard at first. Now Fei wanted him to ride in the car. Of course she was happy with it. She ran over and opened the car door and sat on it. Li Tian couldn't sit comfortably. The soft rubber and the freely stretchable seat stunned Li Tian. How much does this car cost? Li Tian couldn't help but murmur in his heart. Li, let me tell you, since my dad bought me this car, no other person has ever sat in it except me, and you are the first one, Fei said. Really? I'm so honored. Li Tian said. Sit tight. After finishing her words, Fei stepped on the accelerator, then quickly turned the steering wheel, and Lotus cars made a domineering U-turn and swung it over. Li Tian, who was sitting in the car, tilted his body slightly, looked at Fei, and couldn't help but secretly thought, wow, this girl's driving skills are really strong. The beautiful red Lotus cars were driving on the bustling streets of Kyoto, undoubtedly like a red leopard. Coupled with Fei's superb driving skills, this Lotus car shuttled through the steel jungle like a wild beast. It was the first time for Li Tian to get into such a luxury car and experience the feeling of speed. Looking at the city of Kyoto, which is full of desire and fame, Li Tian felt a surge of blood boiling from the bottom of his heart. Girl, where are we going? Li Tian, who was sitting at the back of the car, asked Fei in front. Fei didn't look back and said, you'll know later. Li Tian didn't ask any more questions and sat in the car looking at the scenery along the road. The Lotus cars quickly drove towards the outskirts of the city. After arriving at the expressway on the outskirts of the city, Fei turned around and drove towards the famous Wolf Mountain on the right. Langshan is a famous mountain in Kyoto City. It is very dangerous and very high. A winding mountain road like a long snake leads directly to the top of Langshan. At this moment, Fei is driving this beautiful red Lotus cars towards Wolfshan. The mountain drove away quickly. Li Tian, who was sitting in the car, was wondering why this girl suddenly drove up the mountain in a car. Suddenly his eyes lit up and he saw people lined up on a flat green ground halfway up Langshan Mountain. There were about 20 cars parked. Those cars were all modified sports cars. The one at the front was a sports car with gray lines that had been modified so that the brand could not be seen. 2 heavy subwoofers were placed on it, and top songs were playing inside. There were quite a few men and women in front of the car. If you looked at them in the blink of an eye, they didn't number in the hundreds. There they danced to the irregular music, drank beer, hugged, as if they were indulging in such a depraved atmosphere. The scantily clad women in front, with plump bodies that were about to explode, were dancing in the middle with their hips twerking, while the men in weird costumes on the outside were yelling. Who could have imagined that halfway up Langshan Mountain is paradise on earth? Li Tian was dumbfounded, especially when he looked at the girls over there who were wearing extremely revealing clothes and kissing passionately in public. He couldn't help but swallow deeply. Baby, where the hell is this place? Li Tian sighed secretly. Fei, whose car stopped halfway up Langshan Mountain, turned to Li Tiandao with a smile and said, "This is a paradise for racing people. How about it? Is it fun? Racers. No wonder these are modified sports cars." Li Tian said in surprise. After getting out of the car with Fei in front of him, Li Tian looked at the crowd. These people are different from anyone I have come into contact with before. They are crazy, they pursue excitement, and most importantly, they are all wealthy owners. Looking at them, Li Tian frowned slightly. When Fei arrived, most of the racing people seemed to be particularly familiar with her and greeted her. "Miss Tang is here. The eldest lady is here." Fei waved to them and smiled, which shocked Li Tian slightly. He didn't expect that this girl had such a heavy weight in the hearts of these racing people. Text chapter 54 Fake Boyfriend. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Only a few men in strange clothes over there, with several cars parked behind them, looked at Fei with a pair of cold eyes. "Is she the eldest lady of the Tang family?" A bald man asked, stroking his head. A thin man next to him, but wearing a very conspicuous red shirt, nodded and said, "Yes. This girl is so beautiful, I guess she must be good in bed." Liao Bin blinked a pair of evil eyes and stared at Fei's body with a smirk, but the thin man next to her said, "We can't afford to offend her. There is no girl in the world that I, Liao Bin, would not dare to fall in love with." The bald man who called himself Liao Bin said with evil eyes. After Fei arrived, a sexy woman ran from the front and shouted, "Fei." Fei blinked and looked, and saw the girl who called her, Zook. Fei also ran towards the beautiful woman. The tall beauty has long waterfall black hair hanging on her soft shoulders. Her two slender legs are wrapped in tight jeans. The graceful curves of her buttocks look stunning. Her upper body is in one piece. A simple tight t-shirt could hardly cover her chest, the terrible breasts in front of her. The deep ravine can kill many animals. She is Tang Fei's college classmate and best friend, Su Ku. "Fei, you finally came out, I haven't seen you for many days." Su Ku complained there. "It's not because of my dad," Fei said depressedly. Su Xie smiled and glanced at Li Tian behind Fei with a pair of red phoenix eyes, and couldn't help but frown slightly. "Who is this?" Zuko asked. Fei took Su Ku's hand and secretly whispered something into her ear. Because the voice was too low, Li Tian, who was standing aside, could hear it. He couldn't help but touch his nose depressedly. However, after Su Ku heard what Fei said, his big watery eyes stared at her again. Li Tian looked at it from toe to head. Fei smiled and asked Su Ku, "How is it?" Su Ku shook his head. "I don't know, it's better for you to make your own decision." The words of the two people reached Li Tian's ears. Li Tian felt very depressed and could not understand what they were talking about. "Let's go, we finally got out today, let's go play in front." While talking, Su Ku pulled Fei to the other side, took 2 bottles of cold beer, and handed one to Li Tian behind him, where the two girls started drinking. Standing on the hillside of Wolf Mountain, overlooking the bustling Kyoto city below, it is a unique scene. Su Ku and Fei got together and turned their heads to glance at Li Tian from time to time. Li Tian pretended not to see anything and still stood there. Just listen to Su Ku whisper to Fei, "Fei, have you really decided to let him pretend to be your boyfriend?" Fei smiled and said, "Yeah, what do you think?" Su Ku paused slightly and said, "I think it's a bit unreliable." "Why?" Fideo asked. "Think about it, you are the eldest daughter of the Tang family, and what about him? He is just a small security guard in your company. How is that possible? How is it possible for them to be boyfriend and girlfriend? No one believes this when word spreads out. Su-ko explain, Fei-Fei said stubbornly, what's wrong with the security guard? Security guards are human beings too. I just fall in love with the security guard. What can others do to me? The most important thing is, I want to show the Wang family that even if I, Tang Fei-Fei, marry a security guard, I will not marry that playboy from their family. Fei-Fei gritted her teeth and said, Su-ko, who was next to him, saw that it was useless to persuade Fei-Fei, so he could only shake his head helplessly. Anyway, you can handle this matter yourself. I can't help you. Su-ko said. Fei-Fei smiled lightly, having already thought of everything in her head. What about a certain man? I still don't know what crooked ideas Fei-Fei is thinking in her little head. By the way, the faces of the people over there are so unfamiliar. Have you just come to Langshan? Fei-Fei said, looking at Liao Bin and the others over there. It turned out that Fei-Fei knew most of the people here, but Fei-Fei was a little unfamiliar with the few unfamiliar faces sitting in front of the few sports cars parked on one side, so she couldn't help but ask Su-ko. Explain. Su-ko took a look and said, actually, I don't know. It seems like they are an underground racing group. They got involved out of nowhere and I didn't pay much attention. Everyone who likes racing cars in Kyoto knows that these underground racing gangs are all desperados. Unlike Fei-Fei, who plays cars, they don't follow any rules at all. They will do whatever it takes to achieve their goals. Therefore, the underground racing clan is a group strictly controlled by Kyoto City. Unexpectedly, there would be several underground racing groups on Langshan Mountain today. While Fei-Fei was talking to Su-ko, she didn't expect that the man named Liao Bin, who was the leader of the underground racing clan, had already walked over. There were 6 to 7 guys behind him. Beauty, do you dare to run around? Liao Bin came up and said to Fei-Fei. Fei-Fei was talking to Su-ko, but she didn't expect that Liao Bin actually came over and wanted to run around with her. Fei-Fei slowly turned around without even looking at the bald Liao Bin. It's just you. Just save it. Fei-Fei said calmly, then he turned his head and never looked at the bald man again. Liao Bin was insulted by Fei-Fei as soon as he came up, and his face suddenly became extremely ugly. Beauty, don't just talk about it. If you have the ability, let's run around with real swords and guns. What qualifications do you have to let me compare with you? Tang Fei-Fei gave Liao Bin a cold look. Although Liao Bin looked ugly, he said with a smile, is it that Miss Tang doesn't dare to compete? Or is it because she can't afford to lose? That's why she doesn't dare to run this lap. I don't dare to compete with you. Who do you think you are? The angry Fei-Fei said in annoyance. Okay. I, Liao Bin, am waiting for this sentence today. The bald Liao Bin burst out laughing. Since Miss Tang dares to compete, let's play with the bigger one. Liao Bin said with a sinister smile. Su-ko, who was standing next to Fei-Fei, whispered to Fei-Fei, Fei-Fei, don't compete with these underground racing gangs. These people are all desperados and don't follow any professional rules. It's a pity that Fei-Fei's stubborn temper has already risen, and no matter who persuades her, it won't work. Fei-Fei strode over and said to the bald Liao Bin, okay, what do you want to bet on? Text Chapter 55 Gambling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liao Bin said with a smile, everyone here knows that the most important thing for the Tang family is money. It would be a bit tacky for us to gamble with money. If you want to play, let's play big. Let's gamble on people. Hearing what Liao Bin said, everyone present was slightly stunned. They often play this racing game, but this is the first time they have encountered a better situation like today, and the opponent is the eldest lady of the Tang family, Li Tian, who had been standing there quietly, couldn't help but frown slightly at this moment. He stared at the bald man and looked at the appearance of the 5 to 6 boys behind him. He knew at a glance that this guy was not a good guy. So, now you're actually playing with that silly girl. And he also said he wanted to bet on people. Li Tian couldn't help but be afraid that Fei-Fei would suffer a loss. Who knew that Fei-Fei, who had always been pampered since she was a child, agreed immediately. Okay, I'll make a bet with you. How do you want to bet? Fei Fei looked at Liao Bin angrily and said, then Liao Bin smiled and said, Langshan, let's run around. If I lose, I will let the young lady do whatever I want. But if you lose, young lady, you have to stay with me tonight. You bastard. Suddenly hearing dirty words coming out of Liao Bin's mouth, Fei Fei was so angry that her face turned red and she was cursing. Fei Fei's friends around him were also talking about it. Miss, my condition is simple enough. If you dare, we will run around. If you don't dare, then I, Liao Bin, have nothing to say. Just treat what I just said as fart, okay? He said and laughed. Listening to this guy's rampant words, Fei Fei suddenly became furious. Okay, I'll compete with you. If you lose, I will chop off one of your hands. I will chop off your hand myself. Fei Fei said harshly. Good. Everyone present can testify that if I lose today, my arm will be given to Miss Tang. But if Miss Tang loses, she will have to accompany me tonight. As the sound rang out, the people on the mountainside began to boil. The eldest daughter of the Tang family wants to compete with the underground desperate racing clan. This is certainly worth seeing. Su Ke originally wanted to persuade Fei Fei, but now Tang Fei Fei couldn't listen to a word of her words. And where is Li Tian over there? He couldn't help but blink at Tang Fei Fei. Fei Fei, do you really want to compete with these people? Su Ke said to Tang Fei Fei. Fei Fei said stubbornly, well, if I don't vent my anger today, my lungs will explode. But Su Ke, don't worry, trust my skills. Fei Fei, who was sitting in the car, smiled at Su Ke and said, and where is Li Tian at this moment? He walked slowly towards Fei Fei's car. When he got to the side, he opened the door with a bang and sat in the passenger seat. Fei Fei was stunned and looked at Li Tian. Why are you sitting up? Li Tian stretched and said, I'll protect you. You protect me? Fei Fei wanted to laugh. Li Tian didn't say much, but said slowly, these guys seem to be coming with bad intentions. You must be careful when you drive. Fei Fei nodded, I know it without you having to tell me. That's good. The bald Liao Bin over there had already driven over in a silver-gray modified sports car and parked alongside Fei Fei's Lotus cars. There's 1 minute left in the game. A sexy female voice said from halfway up the mountain. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on their two cars. One was a very beautiful red Lotus cars, and the other was a silver-gray sports car from the underground racing clan. Miss Tang, you have a little follower with you? Liao Bin looked at Li Tian and said with his teeth yellowed from excessive smoking. I am willing, what is it? After glaring at the bald Liao Bin angrily, Fei Fei waited for the game. Fei Fei has been playing with cars since she was in high school. After all, it has been a few years. In this area of Langshan, Fei Fei has run countless times, so Fei Fei is still somewhat confident about today's game. Now she wished she could finish the lap and chop off one of the hands of that bastard bald man. How dare he say those gangster words to her? It's simply courting death. As Fei Fei and the bald man's car were getting ready to start, a charming girl standing in the middle counted the numbers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start. As soon as the voice fell, Fei Fei's Lotus cars drove forward like a sharp arrow. Another gray sports car followed closely, driving wildly. On the winding mountain road of Wolf Mountain, two cars were speeding like angry tigers. Fei Fei is indeed a good driver. Li Tian didn't notice it before, but this time he was really convinced. Fei Fei stepped on the accelerator, shifted gears, and braked, and the series of actions were almost all done in one go, and the Lotus car seemed to understand its owner's intention to win and ran wildly. The silver-gray sports car behind had been following Fei Fei's car. Liao Bin, who was sitting in the car, had a cunning smile on his face, not knowing what he was thinking in his heart. Sitting in the speeding car, Li Tian felt an exciting feeling that he had never experienced before. One hand tightly grasped the side of the car, and the other hand firmly held the deputy hand of the seat. He sat in the car thrillingly. The bright red Lotus cars were leading the way and running wildly in front, and the bald silver-gray sports car behind them kept following them, not too far nor too close. This can't help but make Fei Fei, who is driving, confused. What on earth is the bald man going to do? Pressing the accelerator hard, the car drove forward quickly. Because it was a mountain road, the technical content was even more tested. Feifei's posture skills can indeed be described as stunning. Li Tian was stunned when he saw it. He didn't expect that this girl could actually drive. Just as Feifei was driving fast, the silver-gray sports car behind snorted, and a puff of black smoke rose from the rear of the car. The entire body suddenly seemed to be lifted up in an instant, fiercely. The front of the car rushed forward rapidly. Feifei, who was leading the whole way, saw the silver-gray sports car approaching from behind. She quickly turned the steering wheel and stepped on the accelerator. However, it could not stop the steel beast behind it, and it even surpassed Feifei's Lotus cars in a straight line. Text chapter 56. I Can Fight Again. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Feifei, who was seeing being overtaken by the silver-gray sports car in front of her, certainly couldn't stand this situation. Pressing the accelerator hard, the car rushed forward again. The bald Liao Bin in the silver-gray sports car in front had an evil smile on his lips. Let's see how you can beat me. Liao Bin deliberately blocked the narrow lane with his car to prevent Feifei's car from passing by. In this case, Feifei, who was behind others, would be depressed. The mountain road was already very narrow, and now the silver-gray car in front was blocked by it. If all the sports cars block the route, if you continue running like this, you will definitely lose. How could I lose? The angry Feifei didn't care about anything at this moment and drove the car hard towards the front. The red Lotus cars hit the back of the silver-gray sports car with a bang. After such a collision, Li Tian was shocked. Girl, are you crazy? Are you so desperate? Feifei stared and said, of course, will I lose to little gangsters like them? After saying that, he stepped on the accelerator again, and the car crashed into the back of the silver-gray sports car again. Liao Bin, who was sitting in the silver-gray sports car that was hit, had an extremely ugly face. At this moment, he suddenly turned the steering wheel, and the speed of the car, which was traveling at a high speed, suddenly slowed down. And what about Feifei's Lotus cars? Then it happens to be advancing side by side with him. Smelly girl, let's see if I don't kill you. As the bald Liao Bin finished his cold words, he turned the steering wheel suddenly, and the entire silver-gray car slammed into Feifei's car. Bang! Feifei almost couldn't hold the steering wheel, and the car was just a hair away from being hit and fell into the cliff. On this winding mountain road, if the car really fell down, the car would be destroyed and people would be killed. Feifei's face was pale, and she stepped on the brakes with her foot, making a hissing sound. Lotus car's tires made a sound as they rubbed against the mountain road, and the car stopped. After Li Tian saw the car stop, he felt at ease, and the bald Liao Bin over there had already jumped out of the car. Feifei walked over with a domineering look, and Feifei also got out of the car at this time. I always thought that Miss Tang was different from others and didn't like to play dirty things. I didn't expect that Miss Tang also liked to use this method to seduce people. Liao Binsen said coldly as he strode over. Feifei knew in her heart that she did have some blame on herself this time. I was a little too reckless just now. Even if I broke the rules, what? Feifei said nonchalantly. Liao Bin sneered, Ms. Tang, don't you want to admit defeat? Why should I admit defeat? I haven't finished this journey. Feifei said unreasonably. Liao Bin's eyes instantly became extremely ugly. What do you mean, Miss Tang? Are you going to die and refuse to admit this matter today? Nonsense, I didn't lose. Why would I say I lost? Didn't I just hit your car a few times? It's not enough if I give you money to repair it, Feifei said. When Liao Bin heard Feifei's words, it was an insult. Li Tian, let's go. We don't want to be familiar with people like him. After Feifei said this, how could Liao Bin let Feifei go so easily? He strode out immediately and said with a vicious face, Miss Tang, I'm afraid it's not good for you to leave like this. Feifei was stunned, stared at him and said, then what do you want to do? Li Tian was also there looking at the bald man. What do I want? Of course, it's the same old rules. You go to the hotel to spend the night with me tonight. Liao Bin suddenly said with a smile. Pooh! Rogue! Feifei suddenly blushed and yelled. Then Liao Bin suddenly showed his true nature. Yes, my surname is Liao. I was originally a gangster. Unfortunately, you, Miss Tang, only now know that others are afraid of your Tang family, but I, Liao Bin, am not afraid. They dare not touch you. But I dare to touch you. You have to have a good night with me tonight. If I feel comfortable playing with you, maybe I can let you go. If you don't feel comfortable, I will let my younger brothers take turns to fuck you. When the despicable words came out of this guy's mouth, Fei was so angry that her whole body was shaking. When did a gangster dare to say such obscene words in front of her? Beasts, things inferior to pigs and dogs. Fei cursed angrily. Li Tian, who had been standing next to Fei, couldn't help but glare at the bald Liao Bin. Hey, are you still a man? Are you saying such unflattering things? Li Tian went up and cursed at Liao Bin. Liao Bin over there didn't care about the little follower beside Fei, but when he heard Li Tian's voice, he turned his triangular eyes. Boy, who do you think you are? If you think about it, get away quickly. As Liao Bin spoke, he took out a sharp dagger from his arms. Fei was a little scared when she saw Liao Bin taking out the guy at once. This barren mountain is halfway up the mountain of Langshan, and there are half a person there. If you were really hacked by this bald head, the consequences would be disastrous, but where was Li Tian only? Huan put his hands on his chest and said calmly, what if I don't leave? That since the strange changes in his body, Li Tian has always wanted to try what he has become. To be honest, Li Tian has always wanted to control the energy that was pent up in his abdomen. He still remembered that he had controlled his energy when he was fighting with those dozen gangsters last time, but could he control it now? Li Tianjing wanted to experiment. Isn't this? When Liao Bin heard that Li Tian wouldn't leave, he couldn't help but said coldly, then I'll put you down first. After saying this, the dagger in his hand stabbed Li Tian fiercely. Li Tian instinctively took a step back to avoid the knife, then Liao Bin raised his hand and stabbed again. Li Tian did not hide this time. He stepped out lamely with his left foot, his head shrank, and one of his right hands gathered strength in his abdomen and suddenly hit Liao Bin with an ugly gesture. Although the movement was extremely difficult to see, the power should not be underestimated at all. The powerful fist hit Liao Bin. Liao Bin suddenly screamed, his eyes widened, and he looked like he couldn't believe it. He fell to the ground with a thud, and the dagger in his hand fell to the ground with a clang. Liao Bin, who was screaming in pain, would not have thought that this guy would almost kill him with one punch. Fei over there happily trotted over, stretched out her hand and pulled Li Tian who was there, staring at his arm with a pair of depressed eyes. Wow, can't you fight? Why can you suddenly fight again? Fei looked at Li Tian curiously and said. Text chapter 57. Does the eldest lady like security guards? You are listening at NovelFull.audio. She still remembered that the last time she fought with Xiao Zhou, Li Tian was no match for Xiao Zhou. I was beaten to the ground by Xiao Zhou 3 times in a row, but now I suddenly became able to beat him. Do you think this is strange? Li Tian was also shocked. For the first time, Li Tian felt so comfortable after controlling the energy in his abdomen, especially when the fierce energy burst out from his fist. It made Li Tian feel even more happy. Li Tian and Fei, who were extremely shocked in their hearts, got into the car. They no longer paid attention to Liao Bin, who was lying on the ground and howling, and drove down Langshan mountain quickly. On the way, Fei called Su Ku at Langshan and told her that she had descended from Langshan. Su Ku, who was still a little worried about Fei, was relieved when he heard that Fei and the others had already descended from Langshan. However, the underground racing gang was completely depressed. How come their brother Liao was still racing with others? Don't want to come? When he came back, Li Tian hardly spoke and was always thinking about something. There was an inexplicable smile on his face. Looking at Li Tian's silly and happy look, Fei felt depressed. Is there something wrong with this guy giggling all the time? That she knew how much influence Li Tian would have on him in the future when he could completely control the energy in his abdomen. Only now did Li Tian suddenly understand what a magical book the broken book, pillowed under his head in the dormitory would be. You must know that Li Tian only read 3 pages in half a month, and they were only 3 pages of the first volume. To be honest, Li Tian couldn't understand the handwriting on it. Whenever his eyes came into contact with the broken book, the strange tadpole words on it began to swim around his body, as if he couldn't help it, why does Li Tian feel that he has finished reading the first 3 pages? Because when Li Tian finished reading each page, when Li Tian looked back again, the tadpoles on it would not swim in his body, but turned into dead ones. Each and every one of them is the same tadpole character as before. Now Li Tian has been reading for more than half a month before reading the first 3 pages. Although Li Tian has accumulated some energy in his belly, he is still wondering, why is there tadpole text on the first volume of that broken book, and why is there tadpole text on the second volume? There are also volumes, so how come the third volume is blank? If the first volume is for chi training, then what are the second and third volumes for? Li Tian still doesn't understand it, and of course he can't understand it himself. Li Tian, who was sitting in the car like this, quickly arrived at the entrance of Tang Enterprises with Fei Fei. It just so happened that this meeting coincided with the time when employees of Tang's enterprise were getting off work. When Fei Fei took Li Tian to the downstairs of the company in her beautiful Lotus cars, but the front of the car was hit and was flattened, it caused an uproar. All the employees of Tang Corporation were stunned. Who could have imagined that the eldest lady of the Tang Group would drive a small security guard of the company back in her own sports car? How many people are envious? How many people are jealous? How many people were watching with the intention of watching the excitement, but Fei Fei didn't mind at all what the employees of Tang's enterprise thought of her. After Li Tian got off the car, Fei Fei said with a smile, "Then you work hard, I'm leaving." After saying that, he got into the Lotus cars, stepped on the accelerator, and the car hummed and drove towards the distance, and here Li Tian, who was jealous and envied by everyone, was left to face these people alone. "Good boy, didn't you notice that this security guard is still a golden phoenix? Do you think we are not as lucky as others? We actually managed to catch the eldest lady of the company. You're so talented." The men in suits and ties said angrily, and those women not only sneered and laughed. "I thought the eldest lady was so different, but she actually likes the role of security guard. Yes, it's really strange." Hey, the thoughts of the eldest lady are always difficult for ordinary people like us to figure out. Listening to these people's words, Li Tian shook his head helplessly and walked towards the dormitory alone. He doesn't care what these people say, let alone what others think of him, as long as he has a clear conscience. After all, he had agreed to the girl pretending to be her boyfriend, so he could just endure it. But what Li Tian couldn't figure out was why this girl was so nervous and why did she ask him to pretend to be her boyfriend? Is he sick? Or is there another secret? When he returned to the dormitory, Xiao Zhao in the room had a strange change in his eyes when he looked at Li Tian. Although Yu Dehai didn't show it too much, when he looked at Li Tian while expressing his words, Li Tian there is also a strange feeling. Li Tian, who had been in the dormitory for 2 hours, couldn't stand the dull atmosphere, so he sat up on the small iron bed. "Brother Yu, Xiao Zhao, what's wrong with you? Tell me if you have anything to say." Yu Dehai smiled awkwardly and shook his head. Xiao Zhao didn't even look back, turned over on the small iron bed and said, "What's there to say? You are now a celebrity in the company. Even the eldest lady picked you up and dropped you off in the car. How awesome. We are just a small security guard and can't compare with you." Listening to what Xiao Zhao said, Li Tian smiled helplessly. He knew that these people were jealous of him, but he had nothing to do. He slowly sat back on the bed alone, trying not to think too much, and then slowly took out the broken book under the pillow. Looked at it carefully. The Tang family's mansion is located in the most prosperous area of Kyoto's commercial center. There is a villa area there called Celebrity Mansion. The Tang family's mansion was built there. In the villa at this moment, Tang Zheng's face became solemn and full of anxiety, as if something big was going on. Standing next to him was his personal bodyguard, Xiao Zhou, who was wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, stood quietly beside Tang Zheng without saying much. How is this possible? Are those people spreading rumors? Tang Zheng said suddenly. There was a hint of doubt in the voice, and Xiao Zhou blinked and looked to the side. Xiao Zhou paused for a moment and did not answer immediately. Instead, he thought about it in his heart, and then said slowly, "Mr. Tang, I don't think it is possible either. Although the eldest lady is sometimes noisy, willful, and rebellious, she is not capable of doing such things, let alone blindly like a security guard. Besides, as far as I know, the stranger spends less time with the eldest lady. For a day or two, I thought there was no way this was going to happen. Text chapter 58. What cannot happen? You are listening at novelfull.audio. What is it that makes Tang Jing so worried? It turns out that Tang Jingda received a call from the vice president of the company early in the morning, saying that the eldest daughter of the Tang family was actually having a relationship with a security guard. And it was an above-board date. Especially the eldest lady drove the car to pick up and drop off the security guard, Tang Zheng, who suddenly heard these rumors, laughed absurdly at first, but then his face turned ugly and he asked angrily, "Who spread all this?" The vice president over there quickly said, "Now the entire Tang Corporation employees are spreading the word, and they also saw with their own eyes that Miss Tang personally drove a security guard who had just arrived from the company back." Tang Zheng was shocked and angry when he heard what the vice president over there said. Tang Zheng, who hung up the phone with a bang, quickly called Xiao Zhou over and asked about everything. It's a pity that Xiao Zhou doesn't know much about the eldest lady. No, Tang Zheng is still sitting motionless with that ugly face. I also think it's impossible. Don't I understand my daughter? No matter how crazy she is, how can she just find someone to be her boyfriend? Is it that my daughter, Tang Zheng, is going to find a security guard as her boyfriend? If this word gets out, where will I put my face? Xiao Zhou stood there and said, "I think it may be because there are so many people in the company gossiping about it." Well, it's very possible. Tang Zheng said slightly. No matter what, it's better to put a stop to such groundless rumors. Xiao Zhou, hurry up to the company and tell everyone that no one will spread such rumors again. As long as I catch one, I will be fired immediately. Tang the right way to say it. He couldn't let such rumors spread around anymore. It's okay to spread it within your own company, but if this word were to spread to another big family in Kyoto City, the Wang family, it would be really troublesome. You must know that the eldest daughter of the Tang family was married to the eldest son of the Wang family before she was born. Now, suddenly there are rumors that the eldest daughter of the Tang family is having an affair with a security guard. If it reaches the Wang family, how will this matter end? That's why Tang Zhengkai quickly stopped such rumors. Regardless of whether these rumors were true or false, they would have a bad impact on him, especially on the Wang family. After Tang Zheng gave instructions to Xiao Zhou immediately rushed to the company. And what about Feifei? At this moment, the Lotus cars, which was slightly flattened at the front, also returned to the villa. Feifei, who had just arrived at the parking lot and stopped the car, looked up and saw her father. "Dad!" Feifei shouted happily. Tang Zheng also looked at his daughter with a smile on his face. "Feifei, come here, I have something to ask you." Feifei walked over and sat next to Tang Zheng. She held her father's arm with her slender arm and said coquettishly like a little girl, "Dad, what's the matter?" Tang Zheng sighed softly, took his daughter's hand and asked, "Feifei, have you been running to the company very frequently these past 2 days?" "Yeah." Feifei said with a smile. Tang Zheng continued to ask, "Is it all because of the new security guard?" "Yeah, Dad, what's wrong?" Tang Zheng frowned slightly, and there was a hint of worry in his deep eyes. "Is it because he tried his best to help you last time that you went to see him? Or is it for other reasons?" Feifei couldn't help but feel slightly startled when she heard her father ask this. "Dad, why do you ask so suddenly?" Tang Zheng laughed quickly. "It's okay, I just asked." Feifei said, "Actually, it's nothing. I just felt that I was very sorry for her last time, but that bumpkin was really funny. If it hadn't been for him today, your daughter and I would probably be in bad luck." Tang Zheng's expression changed. "What happened today?" Feifei then told everything about the gangster Liaobin she met in Langshan today. Hearing what Feifei said, Tang Zheng couldn't help but look ugly. That bastard had better not be caught. "If I catch him, I will definitely bury him alive." Feifei chuckled. "Dad, don't be angry with that little brat. There are all kinds of bad people in this society." Tang Zheng turned his head and looked at his daughter and said, "In that case, doesn't it mean that my daughter owes that security guard another favor?" "Who owes that bumpkin a favor?" Shouldn't he protect me? Fei Fei said happily. Tang Zheng laughed. Fei Fei, listen to what Dad said, it's best not to get so close to the security guards. Because there are so many people and you know how many employees Dad's company has, thousands of employees, if they see him, if my Tang Zheng's daughter gets mixed up with a small security guard in the company, then if word gets out, where will my Tang Zheng's face be, don't you think? No matter what, even if you think about your father, you should try to find it as little as possible, that security guard. After hearing what Tang Zheng said, Fei Fei felt that what Tang Zheng said was a bit awkward. Dad, what do you mean? Dad, it doesn't mean anything. It's just that you are a girl and you are feared by others. Sometimes when you are not paying attention, others will say bad things about you, not to mention that you are my daughter, Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng Dao said. Fei Fei raised her eyebrows. I don't care about those people who have nothing to do. They are talking nonsense. What's wrong with the security guard? Aren't security guards also human beings? Are security guards inferior to others? I think Li Tian is pretty good. Fei Fei said. Tang Zheng frowned. Fei Fei, don't you even listen to me on this matter. Fei Fei quickly hugged her father's arm and said coquettishly, okay, Dad, you are so busy at work all day, so don't worry about my affairs. I will be fine, don't worry. After saying that, he hugged Tang Zheng and pressed his forehead with his small cherry lips, then ran towards his boudoir with a smile. Tang Zheng, who was left in front of him, shook his head helplessly. Is Tang Zheng really too doting on his daughter? Maybe he doesn't even know this. Brothers, if you give me some effort, Hua Hua will be more powerful. The following content will be wonderful. Come on, be more enthusiastic about recommendation votes, collections, and rewards. Text Chapter 59 The Romantic Young Master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Kyoto City, if the Tang family is considered a member of the family, then the Wang family can be said to be wealthy businessmen. There is no way. The foundation of the Wang family has long been ingrained in Kyoto City, and the old man of the Wang family is an old chief of a certain military region. As long as he is a prominent figure in Kyoto City, he will not give the Wang family face. The Wang family has real estate in Kyoto City, as well as many investments in the cotton spinning industry. The Wang family has a great cause, but the number of people is not very large. The 3 generations above and below are passed down from one parent to another, which is probably the regret of the Wang family. Therefore, the Wang family pays special attention to each generation. The old man of the Wang family has already lived in seclusion and spent his old age in peace. The current head of the Wang family is the old man's son, whose name is Wang Xiaotian. Wang Xiaotian can be regarded as a strong-willed man. I don't know whether it's because he inherited the temperament from the dead old man of the previous generation, or because he was influenced by the bloody storm of that era. Anyway, Wang Xiaotian is a man who says 1 means 1, says 2 means 2, and never regrets. After running the Wang family's company for so many years, no matter in terms of its status in the shopping mall or in Kyoto City, others have to give a thumbs up whenever they talk about Wang Xiaotian. Wang Xiaotian's best business partner and best friend in Kyoto City is undoubtedly Tang Zheng. The two had cherished each other since they were young. Over the years, they had gone through ups and downs, as well as the intrigues of interests in the shopping mall, but there had never been news in Kyoto that Wang Xiaotian and Tang Zheng had a falling out. Not because of anything else, just because of their deep feelings. Wang Xiaotian came from a privileged family since he was a child, so when he started his own business, he helped Tang Zheng who was starting from scratch. And what about Tang Zheng? Because of this, I felt grateful and arranged to have a child marriage with Wang Xiaotian since they were young. Later, although Wang Xiaotian is a tough guy, what about his son? But he is a born romantic, and his name is Wang Feng. This Wang Feng has been a romantic ruffian since he was a child. There are many legends about this boy in the street. Some people say that he even slept with Xiaomi, the mayor of Kyoto City, and some people say that he slept with the underground queen of Kyoto City, but whether it is true or not, it is really unclear. However, no matter what, the rumors about that boy outside are not very good. Wang Feng is now just over 21 years old, and he just held a party in the Wang family's mansion some time ago. Those who came were some rich second-generation people, as well as beauties. Wang Feng could lack everything except women, because the old man of the Wang family liked peace and quiet. The Wang family's villa was built in the suburbs of the city. Although it is located on the outskirts of the city, the villa is a beautiful sight in Kyoto. The royal residence covers a huge area, and its entire architectural style is similar to the Western manor model of the 17th century. The outer area covers a huge area, and the huge area enclosed by iron fences covers all the outer area, and the huge mansion stands in the middle. The domestic parking lot inside looks bigger than the public parking lot in Kyoto City, and the number of vehicles parked inside is unimaginable. It looks like a small car show. The first thing that catches the eye is an automobile, Lamborghini. This vehicle with the title of the world's most famous sports car may not be so eye-catching when placed here, but it is another Jaguar with a sense of the times and visual impact. Jaguar, maybe not many people are familiar with Jaguar in China, but in Western countries, this world's top luxury brand has continuously brought the world a leading luxury experience in the field of luxury cars, and at the same time, it has written a series of stories that are praised by the world. Legend, in addition to Jaguar, the BMW X5 is popular among the people. It is majestic and solemn. In order, there is an S-Class Mercedes-Benz and an Audi Q7. In a word, if you conservatively estimate the luxury cars parked in the parking lot of the Wang family, it would cost at least tens of millions. So how rich is the entire Wang family's wealth? It goes without saying, the architectural style of the standing mansion still shows its domestic characteristics. The door is made of red oak, and the left and right doors are carved into the shape of a dragon, which looks majestic and domineering. The door was open, and when you walked in, you saw a dazzling crystal chandelier. This luxurious crystal chandelier is as transparent as a pearl. Who knew that the crystal chandelier in front of you was specially imported from India, and it is absolutely valuable? The ink paintings hanging on the smooth walls are by famous artists, and they match the color of the room quite artistically, but on the real crocodile leather sofa in the middle, there was a young man in his 20s sitting. The young man was holding a glass of 1982 Bordeaux red wine and shaking it gently in his hand. There was a wicked smile on his handsome face. He was holding red wine in one hand and lighting the latest super notebook developed by IBM on his lap with the other hand. The IBM notebook was only 0.9 inches thick. This latest notebook uses Intel Core i7-2920's Mextrum edition processor with a native frequency of 2.5 GHz, and the graphics card uses the fastest mobile display chip currently. At this moment, several pictures of beauties were displayed on the LCD screen. Looking at the address of the browsing page, it read, "The top 10 school beauties in Kyoto City." Pictures of beautiful women passed through the eyes of the handsome young man in front of him, with a wicked smile in his eyes. Finally, the mouse was parked on a photo of a girl from Kyoto University of Technology and Business. The girl in the photo was very beautiful. That's her. The handsome young man suddenly raised his head and drank the Bordeaux wine in the glass in one gulp, then closed the notebook with a snap. Then he quickly took out a phone from his pocket and dialed a number skillfully. "Hello, Huang Mao." The handsome young man said into the phone. The moment the guy over there, known as Huang Mao, received the call, his voice immediately became extremely respectful. "Master Wang, what are your orders?" Huang Mao said respectfully on the phone. A naughty smile appeared on the corner of the handsome young man's mouth. "Check for me about a girl named Lu Yaki from the Technology and Business University. I want her detailed information. Oh, also, see if she has a boyfriend by her side. If so, I will destroy her little boyfriend's third leg. Do you hear me clearly?" The handsome young man added. Huang Mao over there nodded and said, "Young Master Wang, don't worry. I'll go investigate immediately and clear away some obstacles." Huang Mao said on the other end of the phone. The handsome young man heard what Huang Mao said, and a smile appeared on his face. Text chapter 60. Isn't it embarrassing? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who is this handsome young man? Who was the person who called just now? This person is Wang Feng, the most romantic young man of the Wang family in Kyoto City, dressed in designer clothes. He is undoubtedly the center of attention wherever he goes. Coupled with his very effeminate face, I don't know how many little nymphos he can charm. What woman doesn't want to throw herself into the arms of such a rich and handsome man? If such a man were not romantic, wouldn't it be a sin? Just now, Wang Feng was searching the internet for the beautiful school beauties of that college. The highest level of beauty hunting is to pick up schoolgirls, especially pure schoolgirls. Wang Feng has always been the favorite about this, so he just opened the campus beauty websites of major universities and searched for targets one by one. At least half of the school beauties from the top 10 universities in Kyoto City had an affair with this guy. Of course, those beauties also got their own LV bags, as well as brand-name jewelry and clothes. In this society full of desires, it seems natural that everyone has their own income, so Wang Feng is not ashamed of it. On the contrary, he thinks it is the most interesting thing in life. The character he called just now is named Huang Mao, and he is a gangster in society. This guy belongs to the role of the paparazzi, but he is a little more powerful than the paparazzi. He is the kind of talent who specializes in hunting for romantic young men like Wang Feng. As long as Wang Feng likes a beautiful woman, no one else can touch her. Anyone who touches her will die, of course. Even if that woman has a boyfriend now, Huang Mao can make them separate quickly. All he does is to clear all obstacles before Wang Feng gets his hands on this beauty. At this moment, Wang Feng hung up the phone, placed his notebook on the crystal table next to him, then stretched for a long time and stood up. As soon as he stood up, he heard a rich middle-aged man's voice from behind. Fenger. Wang Feng quickly turned his head when he heard the voice. Looking at the tall man behind him, he shouted, "Dad, you are not going to the board of directors meeting today." Wang Feng felt particularly surprised. The person Wang Feng calls dad is naturally the head of the Wang family in Kyoto City. Wang Xiaotian, the tall and burly figure, gives people a sense of pressure, especially the two thick eyebrows and the Chinese character face that is extremely masculine. Wang Xiaotian shook his head and sat down quietly on the sofa next to him. Wang Xiaotian glanced at the 1982 Bordeaux red wine on the table, frowned slightly, and said slowly, "Sit down, I have something to tell you." Wang Feng knew that his father was going to scold him again, so he slowly sat down on the side of the sofa and waited for Wang Xiaotian's scolding. I'm used to scolding Wang Feng for telling the truth. At worst, it goes in his left ear and comes out in his right ear. What else does a super-rich second generation like him pursue? Money? Status? What doesn't the Wang family have? The old man is the old chief of a certain military region. Where is the father? He is one of the top 3 richest men in Kyoto City. As their only grandson and son, what else does Wang Feng pursue? Enjoyment. Wang Feng may only know enjoyment at this moment in this world. Fenger, you're not young anymore, you can't just hang around all the time, right? Wang Xiaotian began to teach his son earnestly again. Wang Feng would nod in agreement even if he was tired. Wang Feng could only obey his father's reprimands, but he didn't dare to be so awesome as to talk to Wang Xiaotian. Fenger, are you 21 this year? Wang Xiaotian said suddenly. Wang Feng was still quite confused about his father suddenly talking about his age. Yeah. Wang Feng nodded in confusion, blinking at Wang Xiaotian with his frivolous eyes. Dad, what's wrong? Are you okay? Wang Feng suddenly asked. Wang Xiaotian's face suddenly turned ugly, and he said, "To tell you the truth, I deliberately didn't go to the board meeting today because there were some things that I felt were embarrassing to the entire Wang family." Wang Xiaotian's voice suddenly became angry. Tao said. When Wang Feng saw his father losing his temper suddenly, he couldn't help but wonder about it, and hurriedly asked, "What's wrong, Dad? Who has disgraced us Wang family members again?" "You, who else can you be besides this unsatisfactory guy like you?" Wang Xiaotian suddenly said angrily. Wang Feng felt aggrieved. "What's wrong with me? I've been perfectly fine and haven't caused any trouble. How come I've disgraced a member of the Wang family again?" Wang Xiaotian stared at his son and said angrily, "Isn't it shameful enough that you spend your whole day drinking and living with a bunch of friends and messing around with women? Now it's better, even the baby you have ordered since childhood is not shameful enough. I don't like you anymore. It's not embarrassing enough for you to tell me." Wang Xiaotian said angrily. Wang Feng was stunned when he heard Wang Xiaotian's words, "baby kiss." Of course Wang Feng knows who his baby relative is, but isn't it Tang Feifei, the daughter of Tang Zheng, the Tang family in Kyoto City? To be honest, although Wang Feng is romantic, he really likes Tang Feifei. In Wang Feng's eyes, no one is as beautiful as Tang Feifei, but it is true that with Tang Feifei's beauty, in Kyoto City, except for a few vases at Lauder nightclub, besides, few women are more beautiful than Feifei. Dad, what do you mean? Wang Feng asked blankly. Wang Xiaotian's face was red with rage at this moment. He glared at his unfulfilled son and said fiercely, "What do you mean? I tell you, Tang Feifei doesn't look down on you now. A person like you who doesn't do his job all day long and is a prostitute. Playboy, why would such a nice girl want to be with you?" Wang Feng, are you embarrassed? Hearing his father scolding, Wang Feng felt that he was so embarrassed for the first time. The baby girl I had ordered since childhood was actually rejected, and anger that had never been seen before rose up directly. Dad, did Tang Feifei refuse the engagement? Wang Feng suddenly said, clenching his fists tightly. Wang Xiaotian looked at his unfulfilled son, sighed helplessly and said nothing. After a while, he slowly said, "Do you know how embarrassing it is now?" Wang Feng had a stern look on his face. How could she go back on her promise to have a baby date with me since she was a child? Then Wang Xiaotian said angrily, "With people like you, who is willing to be a good girl with you? Just know it's embarrassing. Let me tell you, the matter is not that serious now. I just heard some rumors from outside." Wang Xiaoshiandao said. Wang Feng was stunned. What rumors? Wang Xiaotian glared at his unfulfilled son and said, "There are rumors outside that Feifei doesn't seem to like you as a playboy, and Feifei has already found a boyfriend." What? Wang Feng was angry for a woman for the first time, especially the woman he has been married to since he was a child.